Welcome back to the Dog Bowl Food Truck. Forgive me if I sound a little different, I just got done eating, because once again, I have decided to record an entire month's worth of Echo videos in one sitting. So since episode 26, I have basically been sitting at my computer recording these episodes back to back to back. This has been a hecking wild ride. But where we last left off, we were going down the alternative route for Carl, where instead of encouraging him to stand up on his own, we encouraged him to allow James to take over, and already things have been more aggressive coming from Carl. Things have been darker. He's been kind of mean to everybody, except Raven. And we just got to the part where Jenna was being hanged, but instead of Chase running in and holding Jenna up and then Carl coming to the rescue and like cutting the rope, instead Chase had to leave Jenna because Carl didn't show up. And in the in the good ending route, we know for a fact Carl can hear. And when we came back around, so Chase had to leave, go get the knife and come back. And when he came back, he saw Carl standing in the doorway watching Jenna die. Whew. So this is already quite different. Carl, are you okay? I ask it out of confusion. Why had he just stood there? I don't really want to ask right now, though, with Jenna still trying to get the rope off. Carl raises a hand in acknowledgement. Wait. Well, it looks like we're still here. Carl lets out a sigh. And that's how it's gonna stay if we just sit here. I frown. Hey, we just went through something really fucked up. We should be able to sit down for a sec. It's been a second, hasn't it? He waves his hand at Jenna. Look what just happened. It wants us dead. Carl. I trail off. What? Carl isn't himself, I already know that. If I had known telling him to let James help us would turn him into this, I don't think I would have asked him to do it. I don't really want to think it, but it seems like he would have let Jenna die if I hadn't been there. The way he just stood there. Max Hoffman. We ready to move yet? I feel a small flicker of annoyance. Can you cool it for just a minute? Carl's quiet for a moment, clearly sensing the change in my mood. Yeah, in the other good route, Carl just wanted a joint, and Chase was like, really, Carl? Really, is that a good idea right now? And now he's like, like this. Yeah, sure. I guess we've been sitting around most of the time we've been here. Why not a few more minutes? Guess he's not really feeling bad about it then. Actually, why don't we just stay here? Just keep pulling those grilled cheese sandwiches out of the cupboard, huh? I stare at Carl, but before I can say anything, Jenna speaks up. We're going to get out. Her voice is dark, firm, and completely unlike the way Jenna has ever spoken before. John. Now she does look at Carl, and it's out of instinct, her eyes darting to him before looking back at me. I recognize it as an almost unstoppable urge to look the way you hear your name being called. Jenna, or Carl, are John and James upset with one another? Jenna shrugs, not looking at me. Carl lets out a sigh of frustration. What we need to be doing is figuring out how to get the hell out of here. Carl or James, do you have something to say? Carl says nothing. I close my eyes. Fine, so we're in the middle of a possessed ghost fight, and neither of you are going to talk about it. I really don't have anything else to go off. Maybe. I try to think back and think aloud, talking toward Raven since the other two don't seem interested in helping. So when I was doing research, they both got convicted of sodomy. John was hanged and James was left to start his ice cream business. Yeah, why wasn't James hanged too? Influential in the town. I think I would have seen it the first time I looked in. What? Carl stands up abruptly as well, following her. Yeah, geez, okay. Jenna hears him and suddenly runs towards the door? I stand up too. Jenna reaches forward to grab the metal handle, and before any of us can say anything more, she yanks it open. Looks like Carl is actually Carl James. I'm gonna call him Jarl. James Carl. James. Not to be confused with James Charles, of course. So we're gonna call him Jarl. So Jarl is still being supportive. Right now, at least. Something to add to that? Wait. Was anyone in that noose? No, it was empty. Seems like Carl should have something to add to that, but he doesn't say anything more. I take a deep breath, trying to put what I feel into words. Carl, we need to keep moving. Come on. We both know she's not right in the head right now. Neither are you, I don't say. I try to search the platform and avoid looking up at the body. The mouth. Carl points up at the corpse. He's right. There's a flash of white in the mouth of the corpse, just barely sticking out of what looked like gnarled teeth. Wait, so Carl is the one who's talking about this now? Instead of Jenna? Such a tedious way of telling us things, huh? I glance at Carl. Yeah, kinda. Should we go up and grab it? But as soon as I talk, Carl's making his way toward the platform, dragging me like I'm an afterthought. Hey, I think Chase should get it. He's the one having all the dream. Shut up, Jenna. Goddamn, Carl, you want to dye your beanie pink and give it to Jenna? Like, that was some shut up Meg energy. Like, goddamn. He clops his way up the steps, and I feel Jenna hovering behind me like she wants to follow, but can't. I let Carl hold my hand as we both move toward the platform on uneven ground. Gotta check on Raven later. Carl's support, the eyes are open. Now, is this argument going to be different? And this is the flashback somewhere. I wonder why. This feels out of place. This scene right here. So Chase approaches it, sinks deeper into hysteria, and hears John and James bickering. But then it's almost like he either goes deeper or is halfway going back up, because I'm like imagining as layers. Like, you get normal reality, then one layer down is the hysteria that they're all sharing, then another layer down would be John and James bickering and whatever it is, this thing, those extra superfluous hallucinations that Chase is getting on top of everything else, those weird, like, transitionary dreams. So that's like an extra layer down below the normal hysteria. So if we go. I can't tell if this is an extra layer lower, where it's like even less real, or if it's an extra layer higher between John and James and the normal hysteria. Like, I don't know where this is, because this doesn't look right. I feel like this is something. This is significant. This is significant. This is important. But I am wholly lacking context. I am wholly lacking context for what this is. fox is in the rope above you. Dig it out yourself, then. He's awake. What happened? Saw the eyes. So this argument is the same regardless of if Carl is possessed or not. And now that I know this is like a tree hollow, that's weird. What are we supposed to do? Play the game. John just ate our clue. How do you know it was John? Jenna snaps loudly at Carl, and the ram turns to confront her. Who else's body is this, then? He's dead. That doesn't seem to matter here, does it? Guys, I point. What's that? Chest pocket. Focus on the pocket. One of the letters sticking out of the pocket. Move closer. Carl, I think this came from your mom's collection. Really? Yeah. This is the one where... Yeah. Okay, so this is the newspaper clipping about Carl's mom. About Carl's mom finding out that people were accused. And the fight begins. Carl jumps back. Rag being yanked before being thrown to the side. I go stumbling away several yelps, each one in sync with the steps I take on my swollen ankle. I finally go down as gently as I can on my hands and knees, and the pain almost blinds me. The sound of quick footsteps in gravel, along with a loud laugh, has me raising my head back up to see what's going on. Through the tears, I see Carl dancing around, dodging back and forth as Jenna swipes at him with the knife. The laughing is coming from Carl as he leaps out of the way with a nimbleness I've never seen him have. Whoops, almost had me there. Carl easily ducks around another slash from the fox. Jenna, on the other hand, isn't saying anything. Instead, her eyes are locked on Carl, teeth grit with what looks like foam gathering at the corners of her mouth. I suddenly comprehend what I'm seeing. One of my friends is trying to kill the other. Jenna, stop! I push myself unsteadily to my feet, trying to limp after them. But it's not much use. They're both moving so fast away from me and around me as they continue their little dance. Even Raven seems too shocked to move, backing away as the two fight past him. Carl! Jenna! I look around for anything to get his to stop, but Jenna seems hell-bent on stabbing Carl. You were always a terrible fighter, you know that. Carl dodges to the side again and snatches up the wrist of the paw that's holding the knife. In one swift movement, Carl uses his other hand to punch Jenna across the face, sending the fox to the ground in a heap. The cracking sound it makes causes fur to stand up all over my body, and I limp towards Jenna. Guys, that's enough! I'm looking for the knife. I just want to get it away from Jenna before she can hurt anyone else or herself. But Carl is already standing next to her, and he bends down to pick up a rock. It's about the size of a softball, and it has a pointy end on it. He points that end down and raises it over Jenna. Carl! I lunge at the ram and tackle him around the waist. He must have been completely focused on Jenna because I'm able to knock him over pretty easily. He makes an oomph sound above me before we crash into the ground. What the fuck are you doing? I push myself up over the ram, reaching above us to try and pry the rock from his hand. Desperately, I look behind me. Raven, get Jenna, get her away somewhere. Um... Raven's standing there, pulling at his ears as he stares at the fox on the ground. Help her! I look back down at Carl and he's staring right back at me, breathing hard. Carl! I call his name, not only to get a response, but also because I'm not sure that's who I'm talking to. He doesn't say anything and just goes on staring at me. But he does let go of the rock and it rolls gently from his hand to the desert floor. Carl, let's go back inside. Okay? I use a delicate tone, feeling like I'm talking to some unhinged stranger. Carl stares at me a moment longer, then lets out a soft huff through his nose with a half laugh. Yeah, sure. You're done, right? Yes. So I'm gonna let you up and we're gonna go back to the house. Okay? Yep. Slowly I get up, standing in the way of Jenna in case Carl goes for her. I look back at Raven. Pick up the knife and throw it into the desert or something. I lower my voice, stepping back a bit so I can lean toward the husky even though I feel Carl's eyes are on me. Take her down to the basement and I'll take Carl upstairs. We'll figure out something later, okay? Oh, okay. I turn back to Carl, then reach my hand out toward him. Dude, my ankle is so fucked. Can you help me back to the bedroom? Carl lets out a grunt, then another half-laugh snort. Sure. He reaches out to me, eyes glancing down at the crumpled fox as he does. I can hear Jenna stirring a bit, so I gently push into Carl to hurry our trek back to the mansion. I glance back a few times, the last time I see Raven crouched over Jenna, mouth moving as he talks to her. Wow. This is one hell of a divergence. I'm not fully sure how far from the end we really are, but I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. As soon as we enter Carl's parents' bedroom, the ram leaves me to stand next to the bed. You going to sleep? Carl turns away from me and starts to walk around the room, looking at the walls, the lights, even under the bed. Maybe. I'm not really tired, though. Instead of sitting on the bed, I limp toward the balcony to look out the glass doors. I just barely catch a glimpse of Jenna and Raven moving towards the mansion, Jenna leaning on the husky for support. I watch them disappear underneath the balcony. Carl, I don't know what we're gonna do. I turn to look at him. Were you really going to hit her with the rock? Carl pauses, glancing at me. No, I was gonna hit her arms, make it harder for her to go after us again. I frown since I can't really remember if it looked like that or not. He seemed to point it right towards her head. Either way, it's fucked, thinking about having to incapacitate one of my best friends. Carl starts to open the drawers in the dresser before slamming them shut with a loud snap. Are you looking for something? Carl doesn't answer, instead pulling the drawers completely out of the dresser instead. Carl. What are you doing? More silence. Carl! What? Carl snaps at me. I shrink back for a moment, then glare. Don't yell at me. What happened out there? Carl turns back to the dresser, sticking his head inside the opening where a drawer once was. His horns clack around against the wood. He tried to stab me. What else is there to know? I sigh, looking down at my ankle. I'm startled at how swollen it is now, unrecognizable. I wonder if a sprain can be bad enough that it needs to be amputated. Try not to think about it, then move to the bed, sitting down gingerly. Carl makes his way over to the bedside table next to me. I'm talking about the way you were acting, how you were laughing and stuff. Carl shrugs his shoulders, made vague by the way he seems to be wrestling with the table out of its corner, looking behind it. The whole thing's ridiculous, isn't it? Gotta lighten the mood with humor sometimes. While she's trying to stab you? Another shock at remembering the attempted murder, though it's duller. Carl yanks the drawer from the table violently. What are you doing? Looking for bullshit notes. That's why we're here, isn't it? I reach out and grab Carl's arm, which he freezes and finally looks at me. I swallow, trying to think of how to phrase this. Carl, are you anymore? Of course I'm me. Moran pulls his arm away from my grasp. I shake my head. We know Jenna isn't. I guess in a weird, fucked up way, she was gonna snap eventually, but... Carl keeps rummaging around, and I wonder if he's listening at all. And I could sort of tell you weren't either, but now I'm just having trouble seeing you at all anymore. Carl finally sets the drawer down, looking around the room. He wipes his hands off on his shorts, then slowly moves closer before sitting down next to me on the bed. You know, it'd be a kind of like cool but kind of fucked up detail if they slightly altered the like color tone of Carl's green background for his nameplate and to like signify that he was less Carl. Same thing for Jenna. That'd be kind of cool. I'm still me. We're all just under a lot of pressure right now. You know? Dude. Yeah, that okay, this right here. I'm still me. We're all just under a lot of pressure right now, you know? Dude. That feels like that part in Chucky where Chucky is pretending to be the kid's toy. It's like, and he has to remember the doll's name is Tommy. So it's like, hi, I'm Tommy. It's like you could just see that ellipses right there between. I don't like that. I guess it's strange. It's like he's someone who's trying to pretend to be Carl. That idea puts me on edge. I look away, thinking back on the attack. The newspaper clipping, it makes sense why that would set John off, right? Carl snorts. I'm not surprised. I told you earlier that they want to see the truth. They want us to see the truth before we can leave, but wasn't that the truth? Carl doesn't say anything. I shake my head. Unless it's not, I don't know. Carl remains silent. Guess it was stupid to think James would help me. At this point, I'm equally suspicious of the two of them. I lay back on the bed, rubbing my eyes. I thought that letting James help us would lead us to the way out of here, but now feels as if I've just lost a friend. Carl's hand suddenly comes to rest on my shoulder. You just upset we didn't get to go all the way earlier? Huh? I furrow my brow. That is the furthest thing from my mind right now. But the ram turns to me on the bed, a coy smile on his face. What are you talking about? Carl rolls over on the bed to the other side, then reaches out to rub my arm again. What are you doing? I watch him, rubbing through the fur on my arm, picking up where we left off. Alright, so I'm gonna be real here. For consistency, I've been making my voice a little gravelly, or at least trying to. Um, but something's not agreeing with my sinuses right now. So I'm gonna swap to speaking with the voice I gave James. So I apologize for the lack of consistency, but I mean, is it really inconsistent? Because this isn't Carl anymore. This is James now. But honestly, I think this is where we're gonna have to call it for now. If the ending is literally like 10 minutes from now, I'm gonna cut this entire outro out. If not, then we'll see where we are. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night, guys.